Hello, everybody, and welcome on back to California Stories right here on youtube.com/Shaunosaurus Rex. Back in the usual spot. I did some tinkering and some moving back, so the angle looks a little off, but it's fine, I think. We're back. This is California Stories Part 2. If you missed Part 1, that posted last Friday, so go back to the main channel page, and then hit videos and then scroll down just a little bit, and then you can click on California Stories. It's only a few videos back, but you can check out how the first half of the trip went. When we last left you, we had just left the Turtle Bay exploration area, and we were on our way to Crescent City, California, and I was going to allude to the fact that it was actually a good thing that we did not go to the Turtle Bay exploration. We had spent a bunch of money at an arcade, and that prevented us from wanting to spend more money at this thing. If we had had that money, we probably would have gone. But we ended up going into so many traffic delays on our way from Redding, California to Crescent City. I think it's only supposed to be a 3, maybe 4 hour drive, something like that. It's a fairly short, it's not direct. It's you go down and up sort of thing. So it's not the most convenient quote unquote route that you would take. But, even still, it wasn't terribly long, even though you're going in an L formation. But we ran into, it must have been 6 traffic delays just between, and that wasn't even between there and Crescent City. That was between Redding and where we were trying to get to, which was a meetup point to be able to go to the Redwood Forest and check that sort of stuff out. So we stopped in some terrible town that was an awful location. I hated it. We got out, and I've never been hit with such a high potency of just everybody has smoked as much weed as they can possibly smoke, and you're just oh my god, this is just awful. It was just a weird area. I've never been to any sort of area like that. I was this is terrible, and I hate it. And we went to a pizza shop that had the music was way too loud, and they weren't great about communicating with us of hey, we're gonna heat your pizza up in the back, it'll be 5 minutes. They just kind of okay, and here's your receipt, and then just walked off, and I'm okay. And then and then I was oh, can I get that Mountain Dew that I asked for? And he's yeah, the pizza will be 5 minutes. And they looked like they were taking shots in the bag. It was very weird. Somebody just came in and just started talking to people, and they were super loud, and it's just oh, this whole area is an absolute headache. Fortunately, we didn't have to be there for very long, because that was just a meetup point, because we were trying to get, like I said, into the Redwood Forest National Forest. And so we left that area, drove a little further north, probably 20 miles or so, and stopped at a visitor center. Went in, looked at some stuff. My mom got some recommendations on a hike to do. I walked out and took a look at the beach and the Pacific Ocean, which was very cool. I don't love beaches, but the view of the ocean was neat, and I kind of it's weird because I've never liked beaches. I don't like sand; it gets everywhere. I hate them. The story goes that when I was 2, my mom put my brother in the sand, and he loved it and was playing around in the sand, and then she put me in the sand, and I was nope, nope, very much motioning to be off of the sand, but there was a weird thing where it just kind of clicked as to I get it. I understand why people like it. It's this very serene sort of thing where you're just kind of sitting there, and the waves are crashing, and maybe it's the waves were bigger. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because I'm a little older and a little less annoyed that I'm on the beach, and a little more of okay, I know I don't like this, but I know other people do, trying to be better about that sort of thing. But for whatever reason, it just kind of clicked, and I was I kind of get it. I kind of understand this situation. Don't love the sand, but I gotcha. So we hung out there for just a little bit. We showed up at about 4:30, and then the thing closed at 5, and then I walked out to the beach. Right as I was about to walk out and take a picture or whatever, a bus, a tour bus, pulled up, and the 2 people that were working there were yep, we got a bus. We were gonna close at 5, but who knows, because there's a tour bus of people who were about to come in. And that was pretty wild. So walked out and just took a picture, walked back in, and then we went up and proceeded to the Redwood National Forest. We did not go through like the big tree thing. I think we were supposed to, but I think there was a miscommunication maybe that we ended up too far north and we never went back south to like do that. So that was like kind of weird because like the big thing is like you go through the Redwood Forest and you see all the huge redwoods, and then there's the one you can drive through. And I thought we would do that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Either way, though, we did go get to see a lot of big trees on a very nice hike toward the northern part, like short of Crescent City, but farther north than the visitor station that we were at. I don't know the location off the top of my head. I'm just a passenger on these trips. So we go up, take a half of a really nice hike, and then half of okay hike. The first half of the hike is great. It has like bridges over like little waterways that you're walking on. The terrain is, I found, very interesting and like fun to walk on, and the views were really nice, and it felt more varied. There was, you could see the water on the bridges, and you're kind of walking by some water a little bit, and you walk through like some big chunks of trees that had fallen over, and they'd cut out like enough to leave it stable so that it wouldn't crash down on anyone. But you could walk through as like a person. Really cool, like curvy pathways, and like just a lot of fun. And then you get to the top of it and you cross a road to the second half, which is much more of just a straight shot back. It doesn't have quite the interesting curves and switches on switchbacks is what I was trying to say. As you're walking through, and the views are pretty similar. The big portion of the second half is this like really big tree that they've singled out, but it's kind of weird because like it's literally called Big Tree, and like you're surrounded by hundreds of other big trees. Like, okay, what is special about this specific big tree that like none of these other ones have? Like, I don't know. Let's see. And so we did that, and it was a nice hike. I liked that there wasn't a ton of elevation change, which was nice, and it was well covered. I took a hoodie, and I tweeted out about it, but I probably didn't really need the hoodie. I actually took it off toward the end of the hike because it was a very nice temperature. We weren't in the sun, like baking in the sun. You weren't in the shade and freezing. It was a very lovely hike. Half of it a little bit better than the other half. The second half not bad. But just the first half was like so cool that I just, that part really stuck out to me more. And so after that, got in the car, drove further north to Crescent City, where we had a couple more construction stops. And it felt like when we were driving from Redding to the initial like the visitor center, we were stopping like every like 10 or 15 minutes, and it was like a thing where everything was closed down to one lane, and so you had to follow a car and go through in a slow motion, and then, or at a slow speed. And I don't know that I've ever seen like a lead car that like just goes back and forth and is like, follow me, and doing that sort of thing. But just like every time, okay, we get through one, it's like, all right, cool. Now we're going, and you get up to speed, feeling good. And then it's like, oh, road work ahead. And there were like 5 or 6 of them there. We did the hike and did that. And there were another 3 or 4 construction zones in that little stretch. So there were probably 9 to 10 stops or portions that were reduced speed that really added time to the driving experience, which made it really good that we didn't actually go into the exploration part, because that would have added 2 hours or whatever, however long you spend there. Like, let's just say 2 hours. And then you're talking about like, instead of getting to the visitor center at 4:30, you're like at 6:30, and then you do the hike from like 7 to 8:30, and it's like everything kind of domino effects backwards from there. Kind of ended up okay that we spent so much at that arcade to discourage us from wanting to go to see all the animals and stuff. And 2 hours is probably a bit long to spend there. I don't know how long to spend there, but whatever. Get to Crescent City, find the house. It's across the street from the beach. It's like Pacific Ocean. Hold on, I gotta get in frame here. Why did you do that? Pacific Ocean, beach, a little cliff, like a guardrail, road, house. Like very Very cool. Really nice views. The house was really interesting because it the more we stayed in it, the more the Beeb and I were kind of just there hanging out. We're like, this, I don't know that this is like a great house to like live in. Like, this definitely feels like it's built for a vacation home, that the rooms are used specifically for sleeping, and it kind of counts on you wanting to be in a communal area, spending time with like family and friends or whatever, and kind of assuming that you're going to be out and about doing stuff, because all of the rooms have like a bed that takes up most of the area of the room, and it doesn't have like a ton of like excess space around there. There were like, I think 3 bathrooms in this in this place as well. It's like there's such a lot going on in here. But I don't think I talked a lot about the other house that we stayed in. The other one was the first house that we stayed in Reading was pretty nice. It was a very modern sort of style, like very open kitchen with like a thing, I don't know what it's called, in the middle that kind of separates the kitchen from like the dining area, and a big old couch with a TV and no walls between everything. It's a very open floor plan. 3 bedrooms with the primary bedroom having like its own offshoot bathroom, a bathroom for the other 2 bedrooms, like a little game room, playroom sort of thing. It was a nice setup. I like wasn't, it was like, it was fine, all on one floor, flat level. Second house we stayed in was a 2-level house. You walk in the front door, little living area off to the right, little dining area slash something, like a dining area, like play area or game. We used it for game table, so I guess you could say it was that. But dining area, and then a kitchen, and then in the back of the kitchen by the back door is a restroom, or a full bathroom. Yeah, full bathroom, because it has a toilet. Well, I guess like would it qualify as a 3/4 bath or a full bath if it has just a shower? Because I think it just had a shower, toilet, sink. Either way, so that's kind of like the left side is the dining area, and then the kitchen, living room off to the right, and then there's a bedroom, I think the primary bedroom, down on that floor that I believe, I didn't actually look at this room like at all, but I believe that room had a restroom in it as well, so I think, I'm not really sure. Right in the middle of that are stairs that go up and then around. As you get to the top of the stairs, if you take like a U-turn, there's a bathroom. There's a door right in front of you at the top of the stairs. That's a bedroom. That is the room that my mom stayed in because she wanted the view of the ocean. Just a bed, like closet. To the left of that was the room that my brother stayed in with a couple of twin beds. And then if you take a left at the top of the stairs and then a left, there's a door on the left, and that is where the Beeb and I stayed. Had a big bed in the middle, had a TV on the wall, which was nice because we watched a couple episodes of Bob's Burgers, and she watched some Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Is it Unbreakable? Yeah, Unbreakable. Big, like, mirror that you, like, slide the doors, and it's a closet behind that. And then there's this door. There's a door in the back of the room that we didn't, like, really take into account. She wanted that room specifically because it had the TV, and it was a big bed, because my mom had already taken the other room with the big bed, so we could sleep next to each other. Even though when the bigger the bed we share, the further apart we sleep, because like we both tend to like kind of go toward the edge, so there's like a whole bunch of room in the middle. Doesn't matter. There's a door when you open the bedroom door. Straight back, there's another door. So we realized that there's like another door, because we didn't really see it or weren't paying super close attention. Check that door, and it's like, oh, that's weird. Okay, cool. Like a little laundry area. You can get some clothes washed and do all that sort of stuff. Then, as you go through the laundry area to the left, there's a second door, and that opens up into like a little mini office sort of thing. And I was like so thrilled with that, because it was the perfect area for me to record any sort of content that I wanted to, which was basically just like California Stories Part 1 and any sort of taste test stuff that I had come across, which I had come across a couple items on the way there. A set of 3 hot chips, which will go up soon, and then just the 3 hot chips that day. Okay, anyway. I was trying to think. There were two more taste tests, but we haven't gotten there yet. So I was ecstatic. I was super thrilled with that room being down there and being like, or being up there and in the back and just being like, I can be so out of the way right now. Cause I didn't really have the best opportunity to in the first house, just based on the fact that like everything was so open floor. There weren't any desks in any of the rooms. I had to get kind of creative. So I filmed like 3 videos outside, which was kind of weird, but kind of interesting. And at least gave it a different kind of dynamic, I guess, even though I filmed them at night and wasn't, I had the idea to try and film them outside, but then I didn't get to it until it was like a little later at night. So it wasn't as interesting a background as it could have been. So it's just me with like a light on outside and then the ring light on my camera. So I get very excited about that. I'm like, cool, fantastic. This is going to work out great. We haven't had any food yet, so we go to a Safeway, pick up some things. I find all 4 of the Lay's like specialty flavor, limited time only crossovers that they've done with Fritos, Cheetos, Doritos, and Funyuns. Very excited about that. That's also a future taste test that'll be coming up. Grab all of those because I finally found all 4 bags in one spot, which was a big pain for some reason. The Funyuns were the hardest ones to find. I don't know why, but they were. Come back, munch on some dinner. I forgot. I don't even remember what I ate that day. And then kind of just went to bed because we did get in pretty late. Got up the next day, had a little breakfast, had some bacon and eggs, I think. No, eggs? Pancakes and eggs. That's what it was. Pancakes and eggs. And that was very good. I'm a big fan of that. And then as we're going to Crescent City, the Beeb discovers that there's a place called Ocean World that she would like to go check out because you can pet a shark. So that's kind of like our main goal is we're going to go to Ocean World and we're going to kind of just hang out and relax around the area. We've been doing a lot of hiking and a lot of walking lately. So she wanted to, and I wanted to like just kind of keep it relaxed and keep it chill. We're fine. We're going to just kind of hang out. They were planning on going somewhere else and we're just going to, we'll just stick to what we're doing. They changed their plan. They're going to stick around, hang out, walk around a little bit. So it ends up being my mom and my brother split off and they go do their own thing. My aunt comes with us, which I had a lovely time with. We drive down and get like everybody situated. Get in the car. We go to Ocean World. Fantastic time. If you're down in that area in Crescent City, check it out. It's fun. It's a short little, it's like primarily, I think like more of a gift shop, but they have tours that are only like $12 or $13 for adults. The tours are pretty short. They're like an hour long and it's a cool, like exploration of like water stuff. You start with some sea anemones and you can touch those, and there's some sea starfish. That's what it is. There's some starfish in there that you can touch as well. Then you move inside and you go downstairs into an area that has like a lot of underwater creatures. So you have like a bunch of like tiger sharks and some like stingrays. So you can see like otters or seals, or no, sea lions and something else. No otters, because otters are really small. Sea lions and something. They were cool. Anyway, then you can see some like kind of ugly fish and some crabs, and then there's I think another tank with like some more stuff or something, some really ugly fish. And then you go upstairs, and that's like kind of like the big draw for, at least for her, what the big draw was going and petting a shark. So they take a shark, they pull it out of the water and put it in this other small tank, and you just like kind of put your hand in and wait for it to like come around to like pet it. And so it's like swimming around and doing its thing, and like there's a couple of photo opportunities where you can look like you're getting eaten by a shark and like do all that sort of thing. And it's really fun. But then, you know, they bring everybody around, get the shark in there, and it swims around for a while, and you petting it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Oh, whoa, woo, wild. This is neat. And then they go like, oh, by the way, do you feel like you feel that it's slimy? And everyone's like, yeah, we feel, yeah, it's slimy, a weird texture. Oh, that's because they like pee out of their skin. And it's like, oh my God. Now it's just shark pee hands all over. It's like, okay. So then you're looking for like towels to dry off. And thankfully my aunt like whipped out her sanitizer and get that all taken care of. Then you go back to the gift shop and you're like, how many of these things are shark pee infested with stuff here? A little afraid to touch anything at this point. But actually, before you go from the shark tank to, or the shark petting to the, what's it called? To the gift shop at the end of the tour, they have like a demonstration with some sea lions and another animal that I'm totally blanking on. And they do like a little show for you, and they like feed them like a bunch of like fish for like doing well and everything. And it's really cute. They like wave at you and like make noise, and one of them like stands on their hands and then goes down a slide and shoots a basketball. It's a good time. We had a lot of fun with it. It was a good way to spend an afternoon just kind of hanging out, walking around, seeing some interesting things. And then after that, we went to an antique store because my aunt loves antique stores. And I had noticed on our way in that there was one. It's like, okay, keep that mentally in the back of my head that there's an antique store that's close to where we were going to be. So we stopped there. We grabbed a couple items at the gift shop. She found a shark puppet that she really loved, so she bought that. And I think I just bought a sticker. I didn't really buy a whole lot of like stuff. I bought like 2 stickers, a deck of cards, a glass, and I want to say maybe one more thing that like a greeting card. And that's all I really got. I got a bunch of like snack crap that I didn't really eat a lot of, but whatever. Go to the antique store, look around a lot, see that they have like every 9 of the first 10 Star Trek movies on VHS, and I have to hold myself back from buying them. The only one they didn't have was Star Trek Nemesis, and the latest year of video I saw was 2004. So I kind of like, I walked in and I'm like, oh, Collateral on VHS, like that's weird, like that's 4 or 5 years into DVD, like we got to be phasing these out at some point. And I was curious if I would find any movies on VHS that were later than the year 2004. Because I think the limit is going to be about 2005, maybe 2006, that are not specialty releases. Somebody in the comments is going to watch this video and is going to be like, well, you can buy Mandy on VHS. That doesn't count. I'm talking about mass-produced, available all over the place, not, we made 100 VHS cassettes of Mandy for some reason, available at this exclusive horror site. Just want to throw that out there. Talked myself out of buying a bunch of VHS Star Trek movies. Weirdly enough, the Star Trek movie that they had for the motion picture was like the weird special longer version that no one likes. And I've been reading a lot about that, and it's very interesting. That movie, I did not realize how weird of a movie the first Star Trek movie is. Like it is wild how kind of botched that whole situation is. Go read about it. It's interesting. Walked around there for a little bit. She found a thing that she was looking for in a style that she was looking for. She had found something similar, but it wasn't shaped correctly. So we got that. Made sure that we could pack it in. She was like, she had asked, she's like, hey, I want to buy this, but I don't know if it's going to fit in the car. Can I take this outside and put it in the car, and I will bring it right back in, whatever, put it where I found it, or I'll buy it. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And she's like, do you want like my ID or anything? And he's like, no, be fine. I trust you. You're all right. I was like, okay, all right, cool. It fit. She bought it. Did that whole thing. And then, we were getting close. We were in like kind of a weird time frame where we'd had kind of a late breakfast, so we didn't necessarily need to have lunch, because by the time we were done with the Shark World and the Ocean World and the gift shop and the subsequent antique store, it was like too close to dinner to have like a full lunch, but we were kind of hungry, so it wouldn't have that weird time frame where you're like, I need to eat something, but I can't eat too much or I won't eat later, that whole thing. So we noticed that there's a grocery outlet there, and my aunt had found these little mini peanut butter bites at a grocery outlet for like 99 cents. And we're like, okay, well, we'll see if we can find some more of those. They were a huge hit with everybody. Everybody loved those peanut butter bites. And so we're like, okay, we'll go walk around the grocery outlet. We'll find a little snack. No problemo. go in to the grocery outlet. Already, like, I'm kind of excited because we're getting a grocery outlet in the area that I live in. Not something I should be as excited about as I am, but there's not a whole lot going on in this area, so it's like kind of like, hey, at least there's something. Something's going to be different here, and it's something new to go check out, and hopefully it sticks around for a while. It should do well in this area, but you never know with stuff like that, especially with some of the way, like, are people going to want to upend their normal routine sort of thing? Whatever. Anyway, went in to this grocery outlet. Went into the grocery outlet being excited about a grocery outlet opening. Left the grocery outlet ecstatic. Couldn't wait for this grocery outlet to open. It's going to open in about a month. I can't wait because I found 2 very, very weird items that are coming soon to a taste test near you. That I'd never even heard of, like never even saw any sort of like posts or anything about them. And then I found them at this grocery outlet, and that just made me so excited. I was like, okay, now what kind of weird stuff am I going to find? And it's probably going to be like a feast or famine sort of situation where we'll go in and I'll find 5 items that are going to be awesome. And then I'll go 3 weeks without finding a single interesting thing in there. So I'm excited about it. We'll kind of see what happens, with the one here. It's probably, I would imagine we're not going to be the biggest one, so I don't know. It's a weird, it doesn't matter. The point is, I'm excited for the grocery outlet to open over here, and I'm excited to see what I can find and how I kind of try and work that and figure that out in the context of the taste test content that I do, because it gives another angle for that sort of thing. And then I think that was it. We went to the grocery outlet. We went back, had haystacks. I think I recorded 4 videos that night, including the first part of the California stories, because I believe that would have been Thursday. And then the last day, they went and did a hike, and for whatever reason, when I got to Crescent City, I had felt fine like the entire time. I was humbled on the one hike, kind of like, I was humbled. But physically I felt okay. But for whatever reason in Crescent City, my chest started giving me some problems, which my chest giving me problems isn't the most alarming thing in the world, because I did have a heart surgery when I was like 5 days old. So it's like chest pains that I get normally aren't that alarming, but this was like super weird. I woke up the first morning, Thursday morning, with like a feeling like there was a rubber band around my chest, and when I was breathing in and expanding, it was like tugging at it, and it was like, that feels weird, that's odd. But it just got like progressively worse and weirder, and still like it's kind of there a little bit, but it's definitely feeling better. And I debated, I was like, do I even talk about this in like the vlog sort of thing that I'm going to do? Because I don't want to like alarm anyone. But then I was like, well, it did kind of affect the way that I approached the final day, because the pains in my chest were weird and I didn't know what I was dealing with. So I didn't know whether or not me pushing it, like I didn't know what the repercussions of that were going to be. So when they got up, the final day that we were, like the final full day that we were going to be there, and they're like, we're going to go on a hike by the water and we're going to go do all this stuff, I'm like, I'm going to just hang out here and like just kind of chill out and like hang out and kind of deal with this and see what happens. So they went and they did that, and we ended up just doing like a couple of short little things. We went to Walmart, which is like the least exciting thing that you could do on an actual trip, is intentionally go to Walmart without like needing to buy groceries. So we went to Walmart. I needed some headphones for the ride back because I had not bought any. I wish I had thought of it on the day before we left, the Wednesday before or the Tuesday before we left Reading, because I could have maybe found something a little bit better at like a Best Buy or something. But the headphones I worked were like $20 Skullcandy headphones. I've had success with Skullcandies in the past. I liked the headphones I got. They're fine. Sound all right, and they worked for the trip home. So that was good news. So we went and did that and found a couple of little smaller items. And then my brother and my mom went up into a lighthouse, and we're talking about how cool that was. So I went to go do that, and it was a very interesting, cool little last thing to do in the area, because you get a really interesting tour from a bunch of people, and it turns out that they switch out lighthouse keepers every single month. So people come in, they do it for a month, they go away. There's a 5-year waiting list for this, and people from all over the country can do it. I think the people who were tending the lighthouse when we were there were from like Ohio. So it's not like you have to live in Crescent City. I also don't think you really have to have an extraordinary knowledge of lighthouses to do it. It's probably just people who are passionate about it would like float to the top of the list, whereas people like me go like, that would be kind of cool, but other people can do it. I did think about joining the waitlist. I was like, you know what would be cool? It would be Twitch streams 5 years from now in 2027. That'd be kind of funny. But yeah, so the tour was very interesting. I get kind of excited. It goes back to the same thing of me talking about Lilac City Live, where people who are passionate about stuff that I at least am like kind of interested in, it just feels easy to like jump in on the bandwagon with them, where like people are talking about like these lighthouses and like telling these stories that are interesting, and I'm like, man, I'm so engaged with this lighthouse story, and this is awesome, this is fantastic. And it's like I like lighthouses or whatever, but I've never considered like the history or anything. But like they picked good people to give engaging tours that had a nice way of telling the stories to keep me engaged, and it was a really interesting and neat little tour that I was really glad to take, because you can go all the way up into the lighthouse area itself. It's like a super like the stairs are like pretty tight on the way up, and it spirals up. But there's a point where you have to climb a ladder and go through a hatch. And the hatch, like, I'm not a big person by any like stretch of the imagination, but like even for me at my my height and like stature was like a pretty tight like squeeze through this up into the big light area. But it was a really cool view and really neat to see that stuff like up close and do all those sorts of things. I forgot how much I hated climbing back down ladders, because I was like gripping the thing, like looking like as you're feeling around with like your foot, and you're like, am I stable? Because you're worried that you're going to slip, and oh God. But it all went well. It was a great way to end it out. Went to Burger King. Very exciting stuff. We didn't really eat anywhere super interesting outside of, like we went to In-N-Out and we went to Popeyes in Reading, but we didn't really do anything super interesting in Crescent City. We kind of ate more at the place we were, because we had like Haystacks and we had like Burger King. But yeah, it was just kind of it was a cool little like small coastal town that was nice to be in, and grabbed we left one more time to go grab a couple of like very small little items, and she had wanted to get some sand from the beach to do a little art project that she was working on for some people. So we did those things, and then that was kind of it. Played Nerds, built a puzzle, put a puzzle together. Played some Nerds, went to bed, got up the next day, elected to do the entire 10 to 11 hour drive in one day. And that's kind of that's what we did. I'm really thankful I bought the headphones. They worked pretty well, even though they were on ear instead of over ear. I don't like earbuds, so I typically want over ear, like these 850s. Over ear headphones, but the on ears worked all right. Listened to a bunch of stuff on the way back, including the latest Kind of Funny podcast, the entire discography of Cyrus Fell Down, which my brother told me was on Spotify, some other new stuff. New Looming album was good, the newest Emery album, the new Tiny Moving Parts album. and then like some random songs here and there from like mom's home and stuff. So yeah, just kind of listen to some music. We went to a rest stop in Oregon, got back in the car. My brother put on the most of the second half of the Cougars Ducks game, where the Cougars gave up 21 points in the final like 4 minutes of the game and ended up losing. That sucked, but it was a good listen. I hadn't listened to a game on the radio in a long time. But yeah, just drove back and left it like 10 and got back into Spokane at 11. 2 quick stops, one at the always delicious Taco Bell, and then another at King City in Southeast Washington. Had a little Arby's, got home, got picked up the next morning, and then driven back. Stopped at Denny's, had some breakfast there. We were only at Denny's, by the way. I just want to point this out really quick. I'm glad I remembered. We were at Denny's for like maybe an hour and a half, got seated immediately, got like the food situation going there. They played Bon Jovi's Bad Medicine 3 times. 3 times while we were there, which is extraordinary. That no one should be putting on the same song 3 times in a 90-minute time frame at a restaurant. My mind was blown. Because it was like, oh, we sat down. It was like, oh, Bad Medicine's on. Okay, like, cool. All right, Bon Jovi. Sitting there for a little while, doing whatever. And I'm like, they're putting this song on again. This song is on. It's Bon Jovi's Bad Medicine again. All right, weird. Get up to leave. Get like a text that's like, hey, will you bring me home a sandwich? And so we like admitted we were there a little bit longer while we were waiting for this. But waiting for that sandwich. But as we were like waiting for the sandwich, I go like, you're kidding me. This is on again. And it's like the beginning, like bum 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 your love. And like, oh my God, like stop it. Stop. We don't need to hear this song 3 times. Bon Jovi has other songs. You can put on that's the one CD they have is a Bon Jovi's greatest hits that they just play over and over again. But there you go. Made it home, safe and sound, back in the regular setup. The cat here still, which is always good news. And that's about it. I don't know. It was a very good trip overall. A little bummed that I was kind of physically bothered on the second half of the trip, though it does seem to be doing better. It's still like isn't 100%. I don't know. Let's see. Quick thought. See if I missed anything. I don't think I did. I think I covered it pretty well. And that does it for this trip. If you like content like this, I have a couple other vloggy sort of things. I talk about there's 2 Seattle trips. There's an Austin, Texas trip. The first part of this California trip that are back on the channel. I'll link a couple of them here at the outro part of it, so you can check those out if you would like. These are the least ambitious from a film perspective. The second Seattle trip is the most ambitious from like actually vlogging perspective. And then the other 2 videos have gameplay in them, which kind of distracts me a little bit. So just as a heads up. I think that does it. I feel like I'm missing something because I always like hit stop record and I'm like, that's what it was. And there was this thing, but I think I got everything. It was a great trip. I had a good time. It was cool being down there. And, I can tell, how much I've been bitten by the travel bug and how much the gears in my head are spinning of like, okay, how can I do more of this? How can I do more of this? What are the events that I want to do next year? And like, how do I plan this out so I can actually actively pursue this sort of thing? And how can I take it to maybe another level with like IRL stream days while I'm doing it? Cause like I've always wanted to go to Treefort Music Festival in Boise. That's a huge event, a long event. I don't know how well an IRL stream would work for that, but whatever. We'd like to go back to RTX. There's like the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. There's Seattle or Emerald City Comic Con. That would be kind of cool. My brother moved 3/4 of the way across the country. That would be interesting. there's just a lot of stuff that it's like, oh God, I'd like to do more things and travel more and do that sort of stuff. So if you like this, maybe there will be more in the future. And I think it's also a good challenge just to myself to push myself out of my comfort zone, which is this. This is the comfort zone. The comfort zone is me sitting in front of a microphone, talking to a camera, and just kind of posting it at some point, you know. Out of the comfort zone would be doing a live stream or doing the vlog stuff or things like that. So stay tuned on the channel if you'd like to maybe see more stuff like that, maybe a little more ambitious, a little more obviously artsy fartsy. But you can catch new videos every single day here right on youtube.com/ShawnosaurusRex. The normal kind of stuff will continue to just kind of go up. We'll get back into the regular flow of things. Halloween month is coming up, and that's that. I didn't really have a follow-up to that, but I do appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe give it a little thumbs up down there. You can let me know what you thought of it in the comments below if you're nice. Make sure you're subscribed. You have that bell rung and you'll be notified when I post new videos. Keep an eye out Saturdays for the taste tests. There's a bunch of them. I believe there are five of them that are going to go up. 3 that were filmed in Reading. One of those is already up. 3 of them that were filmed in Crescent City. None of those are up, obviously. 1 should be backlogged that I filmed before I left, but it just kept getting pushed down. And then there's a question mark one. So there's at least 5 coming out of town, maybe a 6th. Either way. We'll see you next time in another video right here on the channel. Just keep an eye out on the taste test because they are some good episodes. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.